Good morning, everyone. I hope you're having a great day. I'm Brenda Quintana, and my blog's called QB's Quest. And I do a lot of paper crafting. I love 3D products. Today, I am making a Valentine treat pouch. And here is the little pouch. This one holds a Russell Stover caramel heart, but there's a lot of treats that kind of come in this size packaging. I have put the size of this package on my project sheet, which you can get in your email inbox if you sign up for my email list. The link is down below in the description of this video. I also put the measurements right on my blog for you on how big this is. So if you want to substitute for something else, you can. Russell Stover, these chocolates, I think they're fairly easy to get in the US because my local grocery store has them. And it's not a big grocery store, so it carries the Russell Stover's I guess Valentine products. And so this is just a nice little thing to slide into the pouch. And I'm just gonna just slides in. So there's enough room, a little wiggle room if you have something that's smaller or bigger. If you do baked goods, you could put a cookie in here as well. You could use our clear envelopes and fold them in half and slide that in there. So there's different things you could do. I love this little packaging because it is not too hard to make. And I'm using the Adorable Owl stamp set, and that's a free celebration choice with a $50 order. So it's nice that you can, if you need to buy some things for the project, you can earn the Adorable Owls stamp set for free with your order. Let me also point out that I have a host code this month, and this host code, if you spend $50 with me and you use this host code, you will also get a reward from me, and that is, let me move some stuff around here. That is the Flowers and More paper. This is a sampler pack of a bigger pack. This is a 6x6 sampler pack. Look at all these gorgeous papers. And this is the back side. So you've got some neutrals. So you're going to get double rewarded. You'll get rewarded from me for spending $50, and you'll also get rewarded from Stampin' Up. So definitely think about that. And there's other rewards too if you're spending more. It's for every $50 or $100 you spend with Stampin' Up, they're going to give you a celebration reward. My reward is it like a one-time thing, so you only get one paper pack, regardless of how much you spend in a month. But it's also a nice little reward to get in the mail, and that will be mailed out in February. All right, I see lots of people on here already. I'm so glad you're here with me this morning. I will check all the comments at the end because I do get distracted and I want to jump right in and start with my tutorial. And let me switch over to my other camera. All right, so this is the project sheet. If you're already on my email list, you will get this automatically. And if you need to get on it, just make sure that you click on the link below and fill out the form. It is a two-factor thing. So once you fill out the form with your email address, you will get an email from me that you have to say, yes, I want to be on the email list, because we don't want just anyone to put you on an email list without your knowledge. You need to authenticate that you actually want to be on the list. Okay, so don't forget to do the second part. And here are the cute little pouches, and they're just like easy to make. These little things just slide in. I will show you how to make that. So this is the Adorable Owl stamp set. So you could change out the owl that you put on there. If you don't want to make it for Valentine's Day, you could make this for a birthday or for another event as well. The other kind of key thing that you will need if you want to make it like me is you will need these basic borders dies. And what I use that for is, see up here, this cut. You can see it has a little bit of stitching. This is created with this die right here to create that rounded edge for the top. And then a couple other things that I used. I used the gingham embossing folder after I did the stamping on the pouch, and after I did the cut, I ran it through with this embossing folder. You could use a different embossing folder if you want. And the owl thing right here, I use this circle. You could use another shape or a square if you wanted to, if you didn't have any die cut shapes. And then I'm also using the Country Bouquet bundle. What I'm using that for is the Happy Valentine's Day stamp up at the top, and I'm using it to create this little heart that the owl is holding right here. So I'm using this punch and this stamp right here. Okay, I think I've explained most of the things that I used on here, and as I go along, I will talk about any other peripheral products that I used. All right, we are going to start off by using this Craft 6x6 paper. I love it because it's already in 6x6 format. You don't need to cut it down. You could also use cardstock if you wish, but I wanted to use this. It's fairly thin. I don't know. I feel like it might be a little thinner, but sturdy. Thin but sturdy. 6x6 paper. And we're going to grab our Simply Scored. We're going to do some diagonal scoring. And for diagonal scoring, I like to use my Simply Scored, and I use my 6-inch score groove for that. And you can kind of see that there's a line coming down here. This does not come with your scoring board when you order it. I took a Sharpie and I drew a black line down that 6-inch score groove. Because these lines are so close together, it's very hard to line up that 6-inch score groove without a reference point down here. So it doesn't really hurt your scoring board, it just helps. So I just take a Sharpie, darken it if you're going to do this project. And you're going to line up your piece. You can see down here, oh, maybe not. You can see down here at the very bottom where my finger is right there, you can see my black line peeking out, so I know where to line it up. And then that top of the diagonal hits right in that little spot where the 6-inch is right there. So we're going to take our stylus tool that comes with our board, and we're going to score at the 4 3/8 inch mark. So what you do, find 4 3/8, come all the way down till it hits the cardstock. Just kind of make sure you're getting it in the right groove, and then come down 4 3/8. I find it's easier to score standing up. I'm sitting down right now, so I have to be careful. When you score standing up, it's a little easier to make sure you don't skip lines. Okay, and then at the 7 5/8 inch mark. So come down on the 7 5/8. When it hits the cardstock, then just kind of come down like that. So 4 3/8 and 7 5/8. Then we're going to turn it a quarter turn. It really doesn't matter which way you turn it, but just so that you're going to score in the opposite diagonal direction. Line it back up at 6 inches, and then we're going to score at the 8 1/4 inch mark. Come down like that. Let me just show you. Hope you can see that. You're going to have 2 little triangles down here where those two score lines intersect. So let's take this right now. We can cut these little triangles out. You can see them a little better. All right, and then we're going to fold the piece in along the score lines. The bottom piece is going to come in first, and then we'll do the sides. Okay, so this is what it looks like. You can see the pouch starting to take shape. Then we're going to bring in our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And you won't be able to use the mini machine for this because we need to be able to fit this through plus that long border die through. And that will not fit through in the way we want it to on the mini machine. So we're going to use our big machine here. And I'm going to grab this die. I feel like you could also maybe use this die, this one with the point, but I like the shape of this rounded die right here. So we'll scoot this out, and I've got my base platform, number 1, thin die adapter, number 2. We'll take a plate, clear plate number 3. We'll put this down, and where did I put my die? Okay, right here. So you're going to want to see this point here and this point here. You're going to scoot this along here, and you're just going to feel like this die has the cut line a little bit towards the center. So you can overlap just a little bit on those corners so that it cuts right down to the corner. I'm also going to take a little bit of this labeling and cover up tape, and this is just going to help me hold the die in place. It's basically like the top of a post-it note, and I'm just going to feel my way along the edge here. Okay, I think got that in the right spot. Once I feel like it's sitting in the right spot, you can kind of feel it bump up against the corner. Then I'm going to just pin it down like that, hold this down, and then I'll grab my other plate and I'll put it down first on this side and then drop it down on the back. We don't have to roll this all the way through. We just have to roll it through so it presses down on this die. So I'm going to go through, I see the die, and then I can go backwards. You can run it all the way through if you wish, but sometimes it's easier to reverse and just roll back. It takes a little less effort. So I'm peeling that off. And I'm not going to put my die cutting machine away too far because I do need to do one more thing. So sometimes when I'm using the sticky, I'll feel like it leaves a little bit of residue. So I just take a white eraser and just, if there's any residue from that tape, I can just basically erase it off of there. I want to stamp my greeting right underneath this dotted line. You can kind of see right there. So I've got my Happy Valentine's Day. And I love that there is a Happy Valentine's Day because I feel like sometimes some stamp sets have too much like love, like just romantic type love instead of I do tend to give Valentine's things to my friends rather than just my husband. So it's nice to have things that are kind of not overly lovey-dovey. So the Happy Valentine's Day just kind of fits right at the very top right there. You want to stamp first before embossing. Now, if you like the way this looks, you don't have to emboss it. That is like an extra step that I'm going to do, but you don't have to necessarily emboss it. But if you're going to emboss, make sure you stamp first, because it's very hard to stamp nicely on an embossed surface. Ask me how I know. All right, we're going to bring this in, and we're going to redo our sandwich because we need to get rid of the number 2 plate because that's for dies. And let me find my gingham embossing folder. So I'm just going to pop this in to the folder. All right, we'll have the base plate, a clear plate, the embossing folder, and then another clear plate. And then I'm going to run this through my machine. It is a little tight because I'm running through 2 surfaces, but you can see how that just gives the folder or the pouch a little bit of texture. All right. So this project is kind of unique. I usually use a lot of glue on things, but you don't have to adhere this together. You can if you want to, but I'm not going to. So you just have the 3 pieces like that. And I'm going to slide my pouch in, make sure it slides underneath here. It helps if you, if the item in your pouch is towards the top a little bit, it fits a little better. So we're going to bring this in, and the reason you want to do this is you want to see how much you need to bring that ribbon around. And I'm going to use this gingham ribbon. I'm going to need about 16 inches. So let's go ahead and cut that. So we've got 12, and then we're going to need another 4 inches. So 16 inches in total. I love this black and white ribbon. It works really well for Valentine's Day, and it's surprisingly neutral, even though it's got those checks in it. So let's line this up, bring this over, and this ribbon is going to help pin those pouch layers in place. So we'll just do our first knot, grab our locking tweezers, and pinch that knot, and then we can take time tying it. And if you want to, you can just do like a knot. Like if you want to use less ribbon, you could just do, you don't have to do a bow like I'm doing, but you can if you want to. All right. So then you can just kind of rearrange your bow how you like it. So there is what the pouch is going to look like, and I can just come in and snip a little bit. So 16 inches is pretty good if you keep the ends even. And then we're going to create our little owl image. So normally I would go ahead and run this die through through the machine. But I have a lot of these dies. This is the 3rd largest circle. I did another project, I guess it was thank you cards, and I have a ton of these circles just sitting in my scrap pile, so I just went ahead and grabbed one of them instead of cutting another one. And you can see it's got that nice little stitching around the edge. And I'm going to grab my owl and some Tuxedo Black ink. I think I've used all the different owls now. on different projects. And I'm just going to stamp this right in the middle of the circle. I did cut down the edges of the owl with some scissors just to so I wouldn't catch an edge with the ink pad. And then I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Blends and color. I'm going to use Crumb Cake Dark for the top of the owl. And you know, if you don't like coloring, you could also stamp this owl in just like a different color. Like you could stamp it in Sweet Sorbet and not color it, or you can just stamp it in black and white, and you can maybe just highlight some things, like highlight the bow on the owl and just leave the rest uncolored. Or here's a good suggestion. What if you were making these Valentines for kids to take to school? I know back in the day our son had to take Valentines, but I know that might not be the case for all school districts or whatever, but have your kids color the Valentines. I used to let Nicholas color the Valentines that we did. I helped him make them, but then he got to color the Valentines. I thought that was kind of like a fun project. So, you know, let your kids do some of the work if you're making these for kid Valentines. Some people love coloring, some people will not color, and that's okay. You don't have to color. Everyone has things that they love to do, and so do things that you love. I like to color, but I don't want to, how do I put it? I like to color, but I don't like to finesse the detail of coloring. So on these small images, you really don't need to do a lot of shading and it still looks good. So that's the kind of coloring I do. I don't want to spend a ton of time usually on the coloring. So just in case I forgot to tell you, I use Crumb Cake Light on the face and the belly, and this is Pumpkin Pie Light on the feet and the beak. I'm going to use Tahitian Tide on the iris right here. Another color that works well is Shaded Spruce. If you want yellow eyes, maybe Daffodil Delight Dark, or you could have brown eyes as well. You could use bronze or any of the darker skin tone colors that we have. It just whatever makes you happy. Sometimes choosing a different color for the irises, if you're doing like a neutral color for the owl, really makes the owl pop. I have seen the owl done like in really different colors, so then maybe you want to do neutral eyes. So it just depends what you want to do. I just think this guy is just so adorably cute. Okay, got a little scrap piece of paper. Okay, so here is my heart. Now, those of you who have the Country Bouquet stamp set will notice that this is actually the stamp as it comes together. This is actually the way it comes, and I cut it apart. Of horror of all horrors, for some of you, I cut my stamp apart because there were some times where I just needed this stamp and I wasn't going to punch it. Sometimes I just needed this one. So I did cut them apart. I can fit them back together on a block and stamp them together so I can punch them out at the same time again. But I like the fact that I can also stamp them separately. So don't be afraid to cut things apart, especially if they have a big enough gap. You can piece them back together again on a bigger block. Okay, so I am going to come in with Sweet Sorbet ink and just stamp the little heart down here because we don't need the bigger heart for this. And I'll grab my punch. And oh, I think I'm going to have to scoot in from this side. And I'll just center that. give it a punch. So what you could do, come on out, is if I was doing a lot of these, I would have a big long strip of basic white and I would stamp my hearts like in a big long line and punch them all out in a row, really quickly rather than doing this piecemeal. So that's just a way to kind of do kind of assembly line style. Okay, I've got mini dimensionals and I'm going to put one mini dimensionals on the side that's going to attach to the wing right here. Okay, so just on the one side. And I'll just add that right now. It looks like, the owl is handing you a heart. All right, then take a look at this pouch. This center of this pouch kind of bows up like this. So I'm just going to put adhesive or these mini dimensionals along this line right here, because otherwise it's not even going to touch down here on the side. I would have to curve this, and it's not worth the time and effort because mini dimensionals actually, or dimensionals in general, hold really well. So I'm just going to turn this over and I'm going to grab 4 dimensionals. I'm going to leave the center part blank because that's where my ribbon is, and that's not going to help anything if I put a dimensional on top of a ribbon. So let's just go ahead and take the adhesive off so you can see just a line right down the center of the owl, 4 little mini dimensionals. And then I'm just going to place this right on here and stick it down. It's kind of nice too if this is not curved. It kind of looks like it's sticking up, and it's kind of cute that way. Okay, and then you can do them with, you could color them differently. I just did different color irises on this one. This one was the one I did with shaded spruce. You could do different colors of cardstock as well, but I really like this kind of rustic look. This would also maybe look nice with a wood grain embossing folder in the background since it is an owl. If you want to see, I did one just with white. I didn't tie any ribbon around here, but I was experimenting with different ones. So you could do a different color cardstock if you wanted to, white if you wanted to, or choose a different color for your background. But I thought it would be fun to play with. I don't play with this enough, these craft 6x6 sheets. And it's nice because they're all ready to go. You don't have to cut them down. There you go. Some cute little pouches. If you use something different, if you make these pouches and you use something different, please let me know in the comments later on, because I want to hear what you put inside your pouches that might be different from my pouch. But I think you'll find different things fit in this cute little pouch. And I love that it doesn't take very long to make, especially if you're going to do an assembly line and you do all your scoring and all your stamping. It's going to not take as long as you think. All right, I am coming over to you. My hair got in a little disarray as I stamp and lean forward. So don't forget, if you need to place an order to get some of these products, I have a host code going. It's right there. And spend $50 with me. You can get a pack of that Flowers and More paper sent to you in February. And Stampin' Up! Will also reward you. Where did my celebration catalog? It's over here. So with Stampin' Up! For every $50 or $100 you spend, you get to choose a product. And if you don't already have adorable owls and you want to use it for this project, make sure that you pick that up as your $50 item. But say you're spending $100, then you can pick another stamp set. We've got this Thanks a Bunch stamp set, or we've got paper, and paper is always fun to get. We've got the Dainty Flowers paper, very nice paper. We've got the Day at the Farm paper, and actually both of those papers, they match bundles in the mini catalog. And then we've got the Favorite Flowers paper. So we've got lots of cool things. We've got some items for $100. Like if you like paper, this for every $100 you spend, you can get the dandy designs. Anyway, lots of cool things in this catalog as rewards if you are going to be placing an order in January or February. All right, I am going to come and talk to you and read some of your comments and find out if you have any questions or comments, and let's take a look. Hello, Vert Blue. Oh, you have very chilly weather in Tennessee. I'm sorry about that. And Birgit also is in Germany, and her weather's also chilly. Carol is in Montreal, and it's snowing. You know, actually, this morning it is snowing here too, just very, very lightly, and we're gonna get a little snow here later on. Um, uh, Cheryl said she's instead of watching the replay, she gets to watch me live for the first time. Awesome, Cheryl. I'm glad you're here. Good morning, Stuart from snowy New Hampshire. Hello, Deborah from sunny Virginia. Hello, Jean. I'm glad you're here again. From Southern Oregon. Hello, Nalida. Good morning, Marty from Pittsburgh. She has snow today too. Hi, Janine. Francis is chilly in Wisconsin. Wow, it is definitely winter here if we're all talking about cold and snowy weather. And Amy has, hello, Amy, has freezing fog in Deer Park, Washington State. Hi, Amy, I'm glad you're here. So Amy asked if we don't have craft paper, will crumb cake cardstock work? Yeah, sure. No, I think it will work just fine. I think just it might be a little thicker when running the embossing folder through, but it should work. And in any case, you could always do it without embossing it as well. So yeah, use different cardstock if you wish. Beverly said she subscribed to me, but never did get the email to confirm. Let me just, I'm gonna, in the background, I'm gonna type down your name. But Beverly, I'm gonna double check to see if you're on my system at all and see if there's anything up. But if you could, maybe the best thing to do would be to send me an either use my contact form or send me an email, and then you can we can connect and I can help you get on the email list. There are other ways if you have trouble, so just let me know. It is the two-factor authentication is required now, because a lot of people, you know, they do silly things out there though. And maybe it's not even silly. Like maybe you have a friend and you're like, oh, my friend should sign up for Brenda's emails. I'm just going to type her email address in. Well, the friend needs to know that she's going to get an email from me. So if you do that for a friend, put their email address in, you need to follow up and let them know, hey, Brenda's email list is great. I just signed you up, but you need to confirm that you want to be on her list. So things like that happen. And we just want to make sure that you have validated getting on the email list, because it's just really important in this day and age with so many junk emails coming out there. We want to make sure that you actually want to get an email from me. Okay. Janine said she just keeps finding more ways to use those cute little owl guys. She adores them. They are, Stampin' Up! Usually has a cute animal set for celebration, and I always love working with cute little animals because they put a smile on people's face. Now, not everyone loves animals, but cute little animals with big eyes, and you know, most people have kind of like a response to that. So especially for Valentine's Day, this is kind of, I would say that this is like a non-threatening Valentine. If you give this to someone, it's not going to look like you're want a romantic involvement with them. It's just going to be like, this is like a little friendship Valentine, right? Or another thing you could do is you could do like my friend up at the top, stamp that instead. Or let's see, you could just do like for you. You don't have to do, I think Happy Valentine's Day is neutral enough though. It's not overly lovey-dovey. So, and then paired with a cute owl, it's just kind of like, this is a fun little Valentine. I just want to make your day happy kind of thing. So Carol said, beautiful project. We'll try for sure. Awesome. Marty said, do you know why some of the stamps are red rubber and others are the clear? I think Stampin' Up! Makes a call on which ones to do rubber and which ones to do clear. I think often to reduce costs of a bundle, I think photopolymer is a little bit cheaper to produce. So I think with bundles, a lot of the time they do the photopolymer just to reduce the cost of the bundle, because you're already like paying for either like a punch or you're paying for a die set. Also, it's sometimes easier if there is a matching die set to stamp, because you can see exactly where you're stamping when you go ahead. So I find a lot of the standalone stamp sets that don't have a die to match are in rubber. So I will work with either one. I do smile when I use red rubber though, because I feel like it's just a little sturdier. But photopolymer is really great for, when I was stamping the Happy Valentine's Day with the photopolymer, you can see exactly where you're stamping. So it makes it really easy, especially with words and stuff. So I think they probably have Stampin' Up! Probably has like a formula for what they do, and I'm not sure that I know exactly what that formula is and why they will do one or with the other, but I've just kind of noticed a pattern. I hope that answers your question. Marty says she loves the owl with the blue eyes. I think it's really fun to make the owl with eyes that pop. I think also like maybe Parakeet Party would be a good green one. Just like to pick a color. If you're going to do a neutral owl, pick a color that's going to like pop and like be a little contrasting with the neutrals, so it kind of draws your eye to the owl's eyes. Jean said, for non-colorers, you could also heat emboss the images. I think the owls would be cute in copper. Yes, you could absolutely do that. And I think if you do it in kind of a copper color, it would also be less cutesy and maybe a little bit more grown up. I kind of have the heart of a child though, so I do like the fun colors and stuff like that. So, but you can make it look a little bit more sophisticated, I think, if you did it in embossing. Marty said, or Janine said, Marty, you have a choice of which type of stamp you prefer. So there are 5 bundles, I think, in the catalog right now that you have a choice between photopolymer and rubber, but those are only 5 bundles in the catalog, so not all of them. And I think they're just trying to see which one we would choose. They are both, all of them are priced the same, so there's no price difference between them. Jean says she loves the pocket design. Thank you. Carol says, very nice. Cheryl says, so cute. So Marty said, could you use Terran tape? Yeah, you could use Terran tape if you wanted to put a strip down here. The one thing with Terran tape, though, I feel like dimensionals will almost hold a little bit better. And I don't know why I feel this way, but I think because you've got a lot of texture on here, and the dimensionals are a little bit spongy. And I think that somehow in my brain or from experience, I think the dimensionals, a little line of dimensionals down there works a little better, but you can try it. And I did not pin these down with glue or anything, the little flaps. So this is basically held together with the ribbon in place. So that's really all the adhesive I used on there. And I do feel like this little heart pops up a little bit more because it's on a dimensional. So if you're using dimensionals anyway, it's just pretty easy to like just do a line of 4 little dimensionals. Or maybe if you had regular size dimensionals, just use two of the bigger dimensionals. Amy says, I wonder if the gnome holding the heart would fit in the circle instead of the owl. You know what? I do not have the gnome set. So I don't know, but you know what? Hey, I know how we can figure this out. Okay. All right. So Stampin' Up! Catalog. Most of the time, the images in this catalog are true to size. So I'm going to just switch over to my other camera again. Let's open this up and let's find those gnomes. Let's hope they have a name that, oh shoot, they're not, what are they called? The one thing I do not have. Where are you guys? Let's see. Okay, I cannot for the life of me find the gnomes. Oh, here they are, friendly gnomes. Page 40. Okay, so on the actual page, right here, I'm going to grab, right here. Okay, so you can take your dies if you have the dies. Okay, so I use this one right here. So this one right here, you could, get it almost in there. Not quite. What I would do is probably maybe size up one. Let's see. So this one would fit a little bit better. So I would maybe go a little bit larger. Let's see how that would look on there. So I think it would still be fine because it's not going to be the outer. So you would just size up a little bit, Amy, and use just a slightly larger circle. So, you can adapt a little bit for other images that you might want to use on top of here. So give it a try. I do a lot of experimentation. My projects, generally, this one came together fairly quickly, but I start off with computer paper with a prototype and see how the measurements go. So I probably used 2 6x6 computer papers as my prototype, and then I usually switch to basic white because I always have a lot of basic white on hand, and so I never have to worry about running out of cardstock. So I generally, and then I switch to whatever color I'm going to use once I've got the design figured out. So don't be afraid to experiment because I do that too. We have to experiment in order to get to the perfect project that we want to do. We will need to waste a little cardstock to get to that point. So I think it will work, Amy. Good luck. Nancy says she just got out of the shower and missed the live, but now she's here. Well, I'm sorry that you missed the first part, but luckily you can go back and it should be there in a few minutes. Nancy says her husband might ban me from watching you. I hope not. I'm such a nice person. No, I know what you mean because you might buy some more stamping supplies. But just remember, this is a good hobby. It's a very giving hobby. So even though there's so many hobbies in the world that, are, maybe they're not selfish, but they're more self-centered in the way, like if you go golfing, um, you're not really giving anything to anyone. But if you make a project, you make 10 of these, you're probably going to give them out to people. And so it's a very giving hobby. So I hope your husband will let you continue to watch me. All right. Marty says, red rubber is old school. So very true. And Jean said, can't say that. Slow down. Red rubber is helpful for some techniques that could damage photopolymer like bleach. Yes, that's so true. I've done the bleach technique before. And also, I think, if you're using inks like StazOn and stuff, it's better if your image is a red rubber stamp, because I think that can also be hard on the photopolymer. So yeah, some techniques just lend themselves better to the red rubber. So they both have their advantages. I think I don't know. I've been stamping probably in total before I've been a demonstrator 17 years, and I've been stamping for about 20 years total, and there's still something very nostalgic about red rubber. I am not that nostalgic about the wood blocks, I have to admit, because I love the fact that we get these nice little stamp cases now that take up very little room and weight on my shelf. I remember before having to store the wood mount stamps, and they would weigh a lot, and you would have to make sure your shelves were strong enough, otherwise they would bow in the center where the weight was of the shelf. So having these stamp sets, just I still love the red rubber. So cute. Look at the little owl. He's so cute. He's waving goodbye. All right. Oh, Nancy said it's not the Stampin' Up! Products that your husband has the problem with, is that you have to send him out on errands to find the different candy. Oh, yeah, that can be. I remember he had to find, what was it that he had to find? The mints, the Andes mints that were in different flavors at Christmas, right? And he had to go drive all over the place. Well, it's fun for him. He gets to go on an outing, right? I hope you can find the Russell Stover hearts, or maybe something else that will fit in there. I have the dimensions on the project sheet, and they are over on my blog of what the Russell Stover packaging is if you want to find something else to substitute into the pouch. All right, everyone. I hope you have a great weekend. I will be back next week on Tuesdays on Facebook and Fridays on YouTube. I hope to see you then. Take care. Bye-bye, everyone.